Oh, it's time, it's time, it's time. It's time for another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, going back to the black and white shit that we loved as a kid. So, I don't know, sort of calls for a little mad scientist motif, if you ask me. Of course, we don't have any bells and whistles like they had in this film from 1942, The Mad Monster, starring George Zucco and Glenn Strange as Pedro, the handyman. And the whole premise of this one is that George has been outed by his fellow scientists because he's coming up with this weird ass fucking thing where he draws something out of captive wolves. And he has some wolf like fucking thing, which looks like probably was a coyote back then, in a cage. And he's giving this shit to Pedro, Glenn Strange, which turns him into a Wolfman type thing. Actually, I guess before the actual Wolfman. So the whole thing is he has this weird fucking seance with a bunch of mysterious men that basically, I guess they pissed all over his ideas because he wanted to create an army of Wolfmen to throw into WW2. And unfortunately, that whole thing has come to fruition about fucking 70 years later with armies of werewolves, CG-generated werewolves and things, and all kinds of CG-generated vampires and monsters and shit. So, yeah, sadly, that fucking came to fruition. But anyway, he cleverly gets Pedro juiced up with this drug and makes him in company with these scientists that pissed him off so he could kill him. And it's not to say it's a bad film, it's just there doesn't seem to be any prints around that don't look worn out, chewed up, and spit out. It's set in the bayou, it's spooky. There's one taboo scene, which basically comes right after Frankenstein threw the little girl in the lake. That the monster opens a window and the little girl's playing with her ball, and at a key moment the ball rolls out into the room of adults and they go in there and scream because obviously the monster had killed the girl. Well, of course, all this culminates, I gotta put this fucking thing down, all this culminates in the monster always going back to the house to get the antidote, but George Zucco was there and then he's killed in a shadowy scene and then the house catches on fire and the monster is burned up. The end. Like I said, this was 1942, it was a Producers Releasing PRC, Producers Releasing Corporation. And actually, it was one of the longest films ever shot by that company, I think 70-something minutes. So, and Glenn Strange, of course, wind up playing the Frankenstein monster, I believe, 3 or 4 times. And basically, Glenn had over 300 acting credits, believe it or not. I mean, I know toward the end of his life, he wound up on Gunsmoke as a regular, but he was in a shitload of westerns and western TV series as a cowboy, western star. So Glenn had a really long and storied career. Unfortunately, he passed away from lung cancer. Now, 2 other wonderful fucking double bill films would be coming from producer Joseph R. Robertson, who basically made The Crawling Hand and The Slime People, and then segued into doing porn as under the moniker of Adele Robbins. He did a shitload of porn, actually even did the Dirty Western under a different name. But the first film holds up a lot better than the second film, The Crawling Hand, which stars Peter Breck, Kent Taylor, Allison Hayes, Alan Hale, and Rod Lauren. And from what I understand, Burt Reynolds had tried out for the role of Paul, but was considered too wooden an actor, so they gave it to Rod, who also was in Conga, I think it was. No, The Black Zoo, I'm sorry, The Black Zoo with Michael Gough. So, yeah, so anyhow, what happens is this opens up with this, guy yelling, help me, this astronaut, and he appears on the screen after being without oxygen for 20 minutes, and he keeps going, kill, kill, push the red button. So the theory is that some kind of alien life took him over and was heading toward Earth. And this must have happened before because there's a big argument between the scientists going on. So anyway, they push the red button, blow him up, but of course his severed arm is found on the beach. Otherwise we wouldn't have a fucking movie now, would we? So there's some new girl, Siri Steppens or something like that from Sweden, who's introduced in this film and actually did a couple other things. And the thing is, I saw this as a kiddie matinee, and when she's changing into her bathing suit behind a rock, the fucking projectionist put his thumb over the fucking camera. Of course, we screamed and yelled because we thought we were being cheated out of some nudity, but we weren't. So anyway, Paul wraps the arm up that they find and takes it back to his rooming house, where it basically wakes up and strangles his landlady. The cops are called, and he decides for whatever reason to stay in the house. They're a little leery about this, but the whole thing is he's trying to find the fucking arm, which attacks him, and somehow whatever this alien life form is gets into him and makes him get dark circles under his eyes and go to the sweet shop and try to kill the proprietor. Anyway, he goes back to the house and somehow drops the hand in a laundry basket and takes it out to a fucking junkyard where he's in a fight with the hand with a broken fucking bottle and slices it up, and it actually dies and the cats eat it. Some junkyard cats eat it, and then whatever's going on with him disappears. And then it's like the thing is put in a box, locked box, and they're going to take it out to do something with it, and when they open the box, it's gone. Leaving us open for the inevitable sequel, which thankfully didn't come. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, because it really isn't. It's a lot of fun, it's a hoot, there's a lot of fucking weird hand gimmicks and shit like that. And Kent Taylor, for whatever reason, I don't know what happened to his star. He was pretty hot in the 40s, but all of a sudden, it seems like when you got into the 60s, he started appearing in a lot of low-budget horror dreck, like what was the other one? Phantom from 10,000 Leagues, one of AIP, or American Releasing Corporation's first movies, paired up with Corman's Day the World Ended. The Brain of Blood, Brides of Blood, couple more Al Adamson movies he appeared in. Kent, to me, was a reliable actor, and, you know, he kept busy in the B-movie stuff. The second feature, which was directed by actor Robert Hutton, was the only thing he did direct, and it shows, was these fucking creatures come out of the sewers to take over Los Angeles and encircle it in a dome. And there's a whole... The monsters didn't look fucking bad. They really didn't look bad. But it's a cast of like Robert Hutton, Les Tremayne, Susan Hart, and a couple other people. And there's some looter winos in there. Actually, one of them was played by Joseph Robertson. So basically, this thing isn't, you know, I look at it one way, it's not as good as The Crawling Hand. I mean, the monsters are cool and stuff. There's some atmospheric stuff, but it really is, you know, small and claustrophobic, and the battles with the monsters are okay, and they actually look like they're professional wrestlers or stuntmen or something. And the backstory is that none of these guys got paid, even Robert Hutton. And like I said, Joseph Robertson went on to do porn under pseudonyms, and that's basically how he spent his career up until he did Annie Lee's Meat Pies and some other stuff, bringing him back to the horror genre. So, 3 cool films, you know, some hold up better than others, and like I said, you know, The Crawling Hand's a hoot, especially with the cast it has. So, and, you know, this is Friday. I don't know if the government is shut down yet. We're close to shutting down. These people can't fucking come up with something. But you know something? Maybe I haven't been kind, you know? Maybe I haven't been kind to our elected representatives. So let me present them with this. This thing says love on the front of it. But if we open it up, you can take everybody in Congress and please have them suck on these. So that's our show for today. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. It's a Cinema Wasteland weekend if you're in around Cleveland. My friends The Mummy and the Monkey will be there, along with a handful of guests that you may or may not have heard of. So until next time, stay safe. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll catch you on the flip side.